you to look at yourself, not what other people have said, and you build up your Lord, whatever, and you say what they say. This is what you think, right? So I want to begin with uh, the topic, and we're not going to make this a long show because we're going to get straight to the perspective on the attempt on the Great White Hope. I want to ask you, Eddie, what was your first impression when you first heard about it? What was your first impression?
When I first heard of,
Donald Trump's attempt assassination.
well, uh, based on, I'll put it to you like this. It's unfortunate that I had to think of this, but it was kind of expected. Um, and the reason for that is because there's a lot of underlying issues that that may have led to that. I think it's definitely something that could have been avoided. Um, but yeah, I think it's unfortunate for for some of us nowadays to think that that's not an action that would be expected based off of the climate prior to that situation. You know, the climate prior to that situation. I mean, it was kind of it was kind of an expected result. So that's how I see that.
You feel as though that it was expected, correct? Like it was expected for him to get grazed, or for something to happen to him to this caliber.
I mean, when you look at the history of this quote unquote country, um, the intent has been made known, and the intent has also been made present. And you know, it's kind of an old saying. You know, if you don't learn your history, you're bound to repeat it. So I think that particular situation is a result of that.
Fufu, what was
Uh,
your first?
they just we still haven't, well, not we as a people, but the government still has yet to learn lessons from their.
All right, that's great, man. Thank you for the info. I'm gonna be back with you, guys. I wrote some questions down for you, but I want to know from Fufu's perspective, your first impression. Let the people know what was your first impression on the attempt of the President Donald J. Trump.
Well, I say I was surprised but not shocked. I mean, if you think about it, Democrats have kind of been pretty violent this entire election process. I mean, even just set aside politics, just even with social issues, they're pretty violent. Like you can have an opinion, and if it goes against their opinion, they're willing to attack you for it, physically attack you for it. So, did I expect something to happen to Trump? Yeah, but did I expect him to get shot? No, I didn't expect him to get shot. But I knew something was gonna transpire with one day or another with with the other side. So
Great, great, great point, Trip. I want to get to you, but I want to ask you a two-part question with this.
okay.
Your first impression on the attempt of Donald J. Trump.
Deep state, deep state, deep state. I mean, listen, if you look at the Kennedy assassination, right? And you did research on that. The Secret Service made so many obvious mistakes, mistakes that you almost have to do intentionally, right? It's the same thing with this attempted Trump assassination. The only thing is the nigga missed, right? So I mean, they let this nigga on the roof for 26 whole minutes. Not to mention they had the fucking Dixie chicks,
Good point. Yeah.
the Dixie chicks, as the main security surrounding this dude. Like, did you see the video of the one chick that couldn't even get her service weapon back in the holster? Like,
Right.
bro, I mean, this
Confidence.
was this. They were going to try to take that man out, but the nigga missed the shot. And the only thing that the mainstream media can do now is try to downplay it, like it was just some lone wolf that didn't work. So now they talking about, oh, Iran may have done it. Like, it's crazy. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's deep state, deep state, deep state. You already know, bro.
I heard the Iran plot. Yeah, they try to make it say Iran had some kind of plot to kill the president.
Right.
I'm like, why would he even attempt to do that? You know what I mean?
Right. That's foolish.
Let's get to talking about bro. I'm gonna get to talking about bro perspective. Then I'm gonna come back to you, Trip. Your first impression. I want to get everyone's first impression, so I can do something a little later. So talk it out, bro. What was your first impression on the attempt of Donald J. Trump's life?
Man, I was just shocked where, I guess where and when it happened. But I expected it to happen earlier than that. I mean, I think Trump team should know better to have him out there like that. As popular as he is, and as hated as he is also. I mean, that's just how I see it. I mean, and also, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the video with the guy. They had him actually walking around, scoping out the area before the event even started. They have video of him actually looking around, seeing where he can set up and all that stuff.
Man.
It's just crazy, man. Like, I ain't into conspiracies that much, but it's almost crazy. Like, they look at that and they won't look at that and say, hey, why did they let this guy come and search the area? And everyone is saying, hey, man, this is like a hoax. Like, Trump set up a hoax to get shot. But it just don't make sense to me at the end of the day.
All right. So did anyone? Trip. I wanted to ask. So I wanted to come back to you with a two-part question that I promised. How was Trump getting people upset to have people expect something like this would happen to him?
So, okay, how did we get to this point? Is basically what you're asking, right? Were people expecting this? I mean, if you just look at history and look at all of the presidents who have been shot or attempted or assassinated, they've been presidents who've gone against the grain. Whether you're talking about Abraham Lincoln, you know what I'm saying? Whether you're talking about JFK, RFK, or even Ronald Reagan to a certain degree.
Right, to a certain degree.
They're they try to demonize these people to the point where, I mean, even if it wasn't a deep state, right? They still, the media, the mainstream media, along with the Democratic Party, created the climate for some shit like this to happen because they paint this man out to be a dictator on a regular basis.
Yeah, they say it.
You even have like Snoop Dogg had a video years ago where he shot Donald Trump.
Facts.
So I mean, they created this climate, man. I mean, it is what it is. They created it. But I honestly, I'm just like I said, going back to the Secret Service and their actions. There's no way this wasn't an inside job.
I can agree with that. I think I can agree with that because there's just too many loopholes and too many mistakes.
Yeah.
For that to happen. Like,
so does anyone of you know about Thomas Matthew Crooks? Anyone know anything about this guy?
I heard a few things. I heard he was a nerd. He got bullied in school. They tried to paint him to be a Republican, which he wasn't because they have him on record donating to the Biden campaign in 2019 or something like that. I might have the year wrong, but they had him on record donating to the Biden campaign. And as far as him being a registered Republican, if you don't remember, when Trump had the primaries against Nikki Haley, a lot of Democrats were registered as Republicans to try to vote for Nikki Haley to get Trump off the ballot.
Yeah, I heard that.
So as far
Yeah.
as him registered as a Republican, I mean that is possibly why he did that. I don't see why
Right.
someone would donate to the Biden campaign to register as a Republican if uh, they weren't basically trying to vote for Nikki Haley just to get Trump off the ticket.
I'm glad you said that. I was trying to prove that point to someone else earlier. Like
Plus,
I was
there's
still
a
registered
video.
as a Republican. I mean, as a Democrat and vote Republican. So I mean, it's the same thing.
from
Invaluable. You can shoot a
from
Republic.
hey guys, check this out. From bully to assassin to dead. So as Tripp mentioned that he was bullied, right? Should the parents have caught this type of behavior?
Not
Would the
necessarily.
parents
I
pay
mean, who know? I mean, like
attention?
the family members are saying they haven't seen him or the parents in years. I mean, everything about this dude really just gives me MK Ultra. It's straight up
So,
MK Ultra vibes.
can I say something about the MK Ultra after you finish Trip?
No, go ahead, go ahead. That's all I had to say.
Okay, so I met the guy who tried to assassinate Reagan before, right? I actually met the dude in person, like
Hinckley.
right, Hinckley, right. So his story, I mean, he was basically same kind of kid this guy is. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you say MK Ultra, they always kind of like choose these type of individuals to act out their plan. They always come some loner or have some kind of childhood trauma or some kind of problem with their mentality. They choose these people. Even I don't know if you remember the guy that shot up the movie theater. I think it was in Colorado or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of scenario with this dude. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think it is deep state or MK Ultra. I think it's a deep state plan to get him out of office because he's not going
But to your point with Hinckley though, do you know that Hinckley's parents were best friends with the Bush family?
Yeah. His parents
Which
came
is
up there.
oddly enough, you shot Reagan. Bush is the vice president, and your parents are best friends with. I mean,
You can't make this shit up, man. You can't make this shit up.
yeah. I mean, but this is
And
the kind of country we live in, man. People, it's so crazy to me how people just don't. Well, maybe they're trained not to care about significant things. I don't know.
I think so. No, because they're so if he would have lived, let's say they didn't shoot the guy in the head, they would have lived. They'd have lobotomized this guy to a point he was a vegetable, like they did Hinckley. You know what I mean? They don't want whatever. If it was an MK Ultra, was a setup, they don't want that information getting out. So they're basically gonna try to wipe your brain clean if they don't kill you right then and there. So lucky for him, technically he got killed right there instead of being lobotomized for the rest of his life.
But the crazy part is like the files are declassified. Anybody can go online right now and look up the MK Ultra files.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like it's true. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's true.
Yes, very
They
true.
actually do these things. They actually did these things to people.
But
Timothy
that's
McVeigh, Brzezinski, all these niggas were victims of MK Ultra.
mm-hmm.
He
Britney Spears.
definitely looks like.
But the thing about it, MK Ultra was back then. Imagine what kind of things they have during 2024.
We're probably behind right now. We're calling it MK Ultra. They probably got some new shit
Exactly.
that they got. I mean, we late. We don't find none of this shit out till 20, 30 years later anyway.
Yeah, it's probably already through your phones and everything. You never know.
I think another thing that they're trying to do is the 2025 agenda they're trying to make for the Republicans or whatever. I think they're trying to use that as a an MK Ultra trying to propaganda type thing. You know what I mean? Like
They're trying to use
but
it.
no one really follows the script.
They're trying to use Project 2025, but like the thing that's crazy to me, right, is I actually like Project 2025.
Me too.
Me too.
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
It's actually a good idea, but the thing
Right.
is, Trump is not even claiming this shit. Like I'm like, why are you people so hung up on Project 20? Trump already denounced it. Go to his website. He has a whole fucking agenda written out in PDF and
Right.
in video. So if you're too lazy to read, he talks it out for you too. Like, but they're still trying to fit the Project 2025 shit on him, which is crazy because Trump
Yeah.
is a conservative, but he ain't that damn conservative.
Right.
Let me ask, um, what type of impact has this done for America now?
I mean, it's divided.
What you talking about? The assassination attempt?
Yeah, this assassination attempt. What?
Nothing, because everybody's
What?
stupid. We're just looking for the next story. Nobody care. And next week, nobody will care about this shit.
Right. They're starting not to care about it now, really.
They tried to make it seem like it was a hoax, man. That's just crazy to me. I was like,
Well, I'm going to
Hey,
get to that.
speaking of
I'm
that,
going to get to that. I do want to ask, Eddie, can you hear us?
I can, yes.
I want to ask, why in America um, anger is being pushed as good? Why is that?
you got a good answer for that.
I mean, it's anger is a reaction to something. Um, and if if that is the case, I mean, anger is really the only emotion a man can analyze.
Can I
Um,
say? Oh,
I mean,
but
the Christians say that Jesus used anger, so I guess it's good.
well, it seems that way, but what some may see as anger or anger issues, maybe just discipline to the person that's being viewed to be angry. I mean, even us as a child, we usually wouldn't get disciplined unless we pissed off our parents. We did something they didn't like. So discipline was just a reaction to them. You know, under the form of discipline, not out of anger, but
but
that's just kind of how I see that particular situation. But as to the original question, I mean, again, anger is a reaction to it could be is a reaction to confusion. It's a reaction to chaos. Um, so I mean, if there are people out there seeing people acting out and calling it anger, well, I mean that's kind of on an individual perspective. But as far as a society, I just see a lot more confusion and chaos than I see anger, and and a lot of the things that are occurring is based out of confusion and chaos.
Well,
So,
Kufu, you had something to say on about that. What is your take on it?
I see. Well, people, the reason they're using anger is because anger gets shit done. When you're angry, you want to go do something, right? I mean, you see something fucked up, pissed off, and you want to go do something about whatever you see that's pissing you off, right? I mean, anger can be used in a good way and a bad way. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Sometimes
right.
you use it to galvanize your base to, get accomplish a goal, or sometimes anger can, fuck up whatever your goal. You know what I mean? It depends on how you use anger. It could be good or a bad thing. That's what I see.
Trip, I
I
want
don't
to
think.
ask you, Trip, I want to ask you, do you believe that you need anger to um, uh, to achieve in life? Or
Well,
you know,
first, first, let me say this. I don't think people are angry enough. But second, to your question, JP, do I think uh, you should use anger to accomplish your goals? Me personally, I don't believe in emotional responses. I believe that you measure twice, you cut once. Like so, when you're too angry, or on the flip side, if you're too happy, you tend to make decisions that aren't uh, balanced, for
based
lack of
out of
better
a
term. Right. So,
so
like, I believe whenever you're trying to do anything, you take emotion out of it. Now, if
yeah,
I'm a leader, right, or if I'm in a position where I need, I have an agenda that I want to get done. Yes, I want to get people angry because the more angry people I have that are on my side, to your point, yes, things get done. for sure.
Well, give me an example of that. Of
Hey,
Okay.
using,
yeah,
of
man, Mark.
using this type of anger. Oh, well, what type of anger is it
Okay,
that?
okay. Let's go back to 2022 when we were supposed to have this big red wave in the Senate and Congress in the
Mhm.
2022 election.
Remember that.
When we thought that the Republicans were going to sweep the fucking House and Senate, right? That didn't happen.
Mhm.
It was a pink wave, maybe a purple wave, but it wasn't red,
Right.
right? Because you know why? Because people were angry about Roe versus Wade.
Right.
People were angry about it. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm with the shits. I'm for the Supreme Court's decision, but that pissed off so many people, especially women,
Yeah.
that it really didn't work in the Republicans' favor because the Democrats had enough people angry enough to, I guess, kind of
Take over.
dissipate the red wave. So yes, anger does work. It just depends on how you use it.
So
But I think on the flip
yeah,
side, the anger is working for Trump right now. People are angry at what's going on in these liberal cities. You go to California, they just made fucking minimum wage for fast food workers $20 an hour. Now
Damn.
that is literally going to fucking cripple the job industry and small businesses because why would I? I can't even get you to come work at my hardware store because you're gonna go work at McDonald's.
Right.
So now I gotta pay a nigga $22 an hour to come work at my hardware store because McDonald's is paying niggas 20.
You can't afford that shit, man. You gonna
Right?
cripple
You
so
can't
many
afford it.
businesses.
It fucks everything up.
Mm-hmm.
So people are angry. Like people are angry. The immigrant shit. People are angry. And
I
Trump keeps
would.
hitting the jack. Like him dodging that bullet, he hit the jackpot, bro. Especially when he gave that fist, he hit the
Yeah.
jackpot. It's
Yeah,
over
it's
with.
legendary. It's definitely legendary. I know you guys checked out the T-shirts, right?
Mm-mm. What
I already
t-shirts?
bought one.
Oh man,
I need to get one. What's the t-shirt, man? I need to get one of them, James.
oh man.
I already bought one. Hey, look, holla at my man Monster Ray. Black Guns Matter. He got the t-shirts on his website. Them
Oh,
shits is
what?
fire.
Black. Oh, I gotta get one. It just got
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, Black Guns Matter. Monster Ray, he got the t-shirts. Them shits is fire.
I'm,
They
I'm,
fire.
I'm, hey, yeah. If you can't send me the link, I'm gonna get
Legendary, man.
it.
It is legendary that you know that these shirts were made like this. I'm telling you, it's a whole bunch of them with different
What?
shots.
And the way I look at the times that's happening now, I think a revolution is really about to happen. Maybe not a revolution like we think it's supposed to happen, like the big, huge revolution, but like a slow march to revolution that's about to happen. Hopefully, I think anyway.
I mean, I
'Cause,
think Project 2025 would be perfect. But,
God willing.
they just want to kill their babies. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
My bad. I don't mean that on foul language. I ain't trying to get you flagged,
Hey,
Big Joe. My bad.
it is what it is, man. Oh yeah, I want to get that drink,
Yeah,
man.
that shit is fire, bro. That shit is fire.
You gotta get one of these and put it up in the house, like we used to put Malcolm X all on the wall.
Where they keep the American flag, where all the soldiers are like trying to rush up to put the American flag back on the hill, the little statue.
Yeah. Iwo Jima.
Let me ask you guys: would
Yo,
you
look at the broad. You see the broad ducking?
Oh,
That's crazy. She
hey,
holding on to him like he protected her.
hey, hey, would you guys frame this and hang it up on the wall? And your
Hell
sons
yeah.
ask, "Dad, what's this?" And you'll let
It's
them
history.
know about the legendary Great White Hope.
I wouldn't even call him a great white hope, man. I think Trump is the great American hope.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I wouldn't even call him a great white hope because I,
He's the Great White Hope. I'm telling you.
I think Trump is for everybody, bro.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about black or white and shit, man. Honestly, I mean, think about all the rappers and TV stars he used to like chill with back in the day. I think it was, man. The nigga's not racist, man. As far as I'm concerned, like all the shit he's doing for us, or he did for us while he was in office too. Like, come on, man.
So what's the message out there when you guys hear, oh, well, what did he do for black people? Trip, let him have it.
Ooh. Okay, so first of all, I gotta say this, right? Because I used to be like, I used to think differently, but like at this point in my life, I'm 40 years old, bro. I don't care what a president is gonna do for black people because there are things that black people need to do for black people, right? So what I care about is what he's going to do for America. Restore meritocracy in America. Once meritocracy is restored, it's up to you to make the best of the country that you live in. Like, if the middle class is doing great, gas isn't $1 million, and people have jobs, that is a climate for everyone to succeed. Who has drive? If you don't have drive and you want to sit around and collect welfare all day, then you're going to be oppressed by yourself. But if you have the drive to succeed and the economy matches that, then we're all in a good position. Like, why do you think people float over here on tires? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think us as black people, we need to get a clue and understand the opportunity that we have as American citizens instead of complaining about shit. That you can't change by crying. You just have to do. You have to put the effort in.
Hey, talking about, bro, what about you? When them blacks come to you and say, man, you go for him, what he do for black people? What he do? But what is your message to them as far as stating of what Trump did for black people? And for all people, but black people.
But my
Right, but
message
I would have
basically
to
is the same as
go
his.
ahead.
Like, I mean, whatever he does for America is good for the Americans, which are we are Americans. So when black people start talking about well, black people this and what he's done for white people, I said no, he's done that for all of us. When he's trying to keep these people from coming across the border, he's trying to save jobs and things and opportunities, or the time that you invested in America, the money that you invested in America. He's trying to keep that in place for you. All these benefits. I got family members that can't even get benefits, and they've been trying for 5 years now. You got these guys coming over here getting all the benefits possible,
Mm-hmm.
debit cards and all that stuff. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if that's not a problem to you, then so be it. But I don't see
And
it
to
as fair.
piggyback off your point, bro, yo, I mean, I'm not sure. Are we all in DC or were you based out of talking out?
I'm in Florida.
Okay, so in DC, right? I don't agree with the immigrants, right? But the the Venezuelans that's in DC, you know what they do? These niggas rent scooters every day and they fucking murder Uber Eats and DoorDash. They
Murder.
murder that shit.
Yo, my
While
block.
young while little niggas like while niggas is sitting around hanging out at the metro station getting high bullshitting all day, the fucking Venezuelan immigrants are murdering DoorDash.
But you
I
can't
talked to one
really
of the
be
motherfuckers
mad at
last
them.
week. That nigga making $1,100 a week, murdering DoorDash.
See,
You
that's what I'm
can't get
saying.
mad at them. They got the drive and the hustle to do it though. You can't.
Yeah, yeah,
Anytime I hate them that they're here illegally. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
At the same time, they
Right,
have the
for
drive
sure.
that
I'm
they
with you.
should have. You know what I mean? That's the
All
only
right.
problem. That's the only problem. They got the drive and the motivation to get the money because they see the opportunity here. That's the only problem I have about that.
Yeah,
That we
Bro, they
don't.
murdering shit.
yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
murdering shit.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
got a
yeah,
whole crew, bro.
yeah.
Yeah, they got a fleet of them joints up here, man.
Nigga,
Like,
all you see in the DC streets is Venezuelan niggas on scooters. I'm telling you. That's it. That's all you see.
yep. And they
You
got the
have a
They
whole
truck.
killing that
industry.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey, Fufu,
Yeah.
back to you. What are what could be the things or the mindset of black people seeking specifics from presidents?
So
You know,
here's my
they always looking at what can a president do for their particular group. Why is that mindset set for the blacks?
so I'm like this, right? that mindset is dangerous. So here's the thing, right? The office of the presidency has never been for black people. It was never built for us to succeed in the first place. That's the office of the presidency, just for black people. But in general, it's different. It's for all people, right? So me, I'm kind of a realist. I don't really care if you're a Democrat or Republican. It's who has the best idea for my race, quote unquote,
Right.
right? But in doing so, that idea has to be basically for the American people. So whoever has the best idea for the American people will most likely have the best opportunities for my race of people to succeed. And right now, it's the Republican side, right? Not that they've kind of always had that kind of idea, but we've just been so brainwashed to go, just voting Democrat because we're Democrats that we've just been voting them in office, and we've been, basically voting against our own interests the whole time. It's like now he said, like I'm 41 years old, right? I'm thinking a whole lot differently now. You know what I mean? It's like I got a whole lot more responsibilities than maybe a 26-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Thinking about social issues and shit. I don't want people to come over in our country trying to kill me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want the dollar to go a lot farther than it did 5 years ago. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about. Yeah, I am, but not so much that all the social issues about the transgender and all that bullshit. I mean, it will get there, but right now we got bigger fish to fry.
But you're bootlicking if you're switching. You're bootlicking if he's switching up going to the other side. Eddie, I want to ask you. No, I got my talking out, bro. I ain't talking a minute. Let me give him the mic real quick. Let's go back to this anger thing. Anger and love, coming from a Christian perspective. Um, do you need anger to get the job done instead of having love? What's love got to do with it if you can use the anger, huh?
Well, I mean, I'm not. I'll say this. I'm not under any perspective. I'm under my own experiences
No, this for talking
and,
out, bro.
and knowledge.
This for talking out, bro.
Oh, my bad, man.
I didn't know.
Oh,
Eddie,
let him go ahead. Let him go ahead. I'll go
yeah,
after you.
Eddie, you a Christian?
I grew up as one.
Are you a Christian?
Uh, I don't go under that label. No.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Um, but again, going back to your question about anger. Again, anger is a reaction. It's an emotional reaction.
Yeah, I heard that one. See, yeah, I already know where you gonna go. So I
Okay,
need to talk
right.
about,
So
bro.
right
So
now is when it comes to love,
uh,
um, love versus anger, or I'm not. When it comes to that, love is love is also an emotion, but it's not a reaction. It's a developmental emotion. So it kind of sits in a different category on its own. That's something that is developed and earned over time, like trust. Anger is just the way I see it, not just logically the way I see it. It's an emotional reaction that is mainly found and based out of confusion and chaos.
Shit, fair enough. I agree.
huh?
Can anger
I
be
agree.
controlled? Now, can anger be controlled? Yes, it can be controlled, just like any other emotional reaction. It can be controlled. And
Emotional.
how one controls it determines how much control they have over themselves when they, in other words, chemically combust. Do
Now
you have enough control to control that combustion?
let me ask. Do you do you still have anger?
We all do, but yes, I do individually. Yes, it's a reaction that we all have to learn to deal with.
How do you deal with it?
Try not to rest on it. deal with it as quickly as possible. Try to come to a reasonable solution as to where when I do rest, I'm not resting out of an emotional reaction. I'm resting soundly.
What did how do you rest soundly?
By dealing with anything that angers you prior to your rest.
So it is possible that you wouldn't be able to get to anger if you already have that method, right?
Um,
Anger wouldn't even get to you if you would understand the method on how anger can that you can get to anger.
oh yeah, everyone has anger issues, and they deal with them according to the best ways that they see for themselves.
Talking
Um,
talking out, bro. You still have anger?
Yeah.
we
I
oh
mean,
yeah,
I believe that. I mean, just my opinion. I believe that all feelings that you have are usually
natural.
timely. Like you should be allowed to express all of your feelings that you have. I mean, if the time comes that you get angry, it must have been something that, like you said, caused you to become angry. And maybe some people don't know how to control it to where it may be harmful, but sometimes it is useful. Just like my experience, I was in the Marines. We had DIs that were angry at us all the time. But guess what? It got the job done, just like you said. So, I mean, to me, I think anger is a
Well,
useful
I,
feeling, yeah, for the most part.
when you look at it into that context, as far as the army stuff, was it anger or was it motivation just on the intensity level?
Well, to them, it may have been an act, but to us, they were angry.
Right, and that's that
Can I say
that
this?
touches on a point that I made earlier, is that it's based on who's perceiving that reaction. You know, it kind of falls on that because I could just be, a well disciplined individual that speaks stern, but a person may receive that as me being angry when I'm actually not.
Right.
I'm just me.
So
It's kind of like talking.
I'd
Yeah, it's
say
kind of like talking to a child sometimes.
what
You
was
know,
the
it's
last what was the last thing that you guys done out of anger? How far did you take it?
I closed down a nightclub.
uh
Uh,
And
Not
what
proud of it, but yeah, that's
and
when it. Yeah, that's when I lost control.
man, uh,
Psychopath.
so
I would go back to something I said earlier.
knowing that anger is emotion that we should not even use or even think about using because we understand where it can go.
Anger is useful.
You got to
Anger is useful
control
to
it.
the flock.
Mm, mm.
That's what I'm saying. I am never angry.
That's
Never.
what I would say. Anger is useful to.
The masses.
I'm not angry.
Well, everyone deals again. It's an emotion, so everyone deals with it in their own way. But with all other emotions, just like love, just like hate, um, respect, it's all controlled. Just like urges one may, a man may have for a woman. It depends on it's all on a level of control. You see, this is again back to what I said before. When it comes to a natural man, the only real emotion that makes logical sense to him, if he ever loses control of his emotions, I didn't make that point earlier, But anger is the most logical emotion towards a man. Why? Because it's the only emotion in which he is allowed to assert and attempt to maintain his dominance. Now, what causes him to get to that point? Well, that can be on a whole host of things, the situations, his previous experiences, etc. You know, the only hope we can have for that man, and I'm speaking to men particularly, because women are naturally guided and moved by or operating by emotional, well, mainly by emotions, not logic. When it comes to men, we're naturally we move by making reasonable analysis of our experiences and our situations. So by naturally being living that experience, the only logical emotion for man would be, if he ever loses control, would be to attempt to reassert domination of the situation.
So,
That
so, so if you have so if the woman mad and the man mad, then what's really going on?
well, if they can both, well, they can both be mad at each other, right? The woman could be yelling at the man, but depending on that man's ability to control his himself from getting angry, right? Now, yeah, the good thing to do, the wise thing to do would be to try to talk down your woman versus trying to match her. She's
Now,
going off of 100 plus emotions, you
now, Trip,
know,
I don't want to be too much because we have
but
the
I
time.
ain't trying to take over the convo either, but my bad.
No, listen. So Trip, for you, where would we understand how to control or how to 86 that emotion before acting out? Where will we get it?
So I mean, that's something that you just have to work on, man. Like one thing, like a lot of people know this, some people don't. I was involved in a crazy divorce, right? Crazy divorce. I was accused of doing a lot of things I didn't do. Uh, but one thing that helped me get through the situation was keeping my cool and not acting off anger. Because at the end of the day, I knew I was right. I knew I had the evidence to back myself up. Even though I was getting hit with bullshit after bullshit after bullshit, I knew once I had my day in court and I could calmly have my lawyer explain what the hell was going. You know what I mean? I When you keep your cool and you don't resort to the things that other people resort to, you always prevail. You always prevail.
Hey, that's the fucking truth. I went through the same thing you went through.
Like
Keep it
I
cool.
never like even in my day to day life, even when I get mad, like I always calm down. I say, you know what, I can outsmart this person because
Mhm.
they're too angry, they're too in their emotions, and if I got my right mind, if I'm balanced, a balanced man can't lose
They're
Well,
dangerous.
let me just add on
unless
to
he's
that.
going up against another balanced man. Then you got a chess match. But
Right.
but typically when you're dealing with black folks, it's a bunch of emotion involved.
Emotions.
Yeah.
And to speak to your point, last time I did something out of anger, yeah, I almost shot someone out of anger. So yeah, it helps to control your anger a lot because it can put you in a very bad situation that you probably can't get out of.
Hell
And
yeah. Look,
that's all anger will lead you to is a path of destruction.
you rarely gonna see me angry. You're rarely gonna see me angry, man, because I mean, but I mean, this is shit my father taught me.
Right. That's where it comes from. How to control that anger when you get into relationships, when you get older, when the woman flip out, it has to be taught to you from when you were a child. It has to be shown to that child on how it's supposed to be, how the order is ran, right?
Hell yeah.
You don't get upset. So most blacks raised by moms don't see that. They don't have
Exactly. Yeah.
they don't have that blueprint
Yeah.
or the order.
Yeah, like my father told me at a young age, like, because I got 5 sisters, right? So if he would take them out shopping or something, I'd be mad. Like, why you ain't give me that? He like, man, you a man. Like, nigga, you a bitch or something? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Niggas prepare you for the future, right? He prepare you for the future.
Right.
but look, but I, I didn't get it when I was a kid, but now I get it because
Right.
I got my son now. He got a bunch of sisters, so I got to do the same shit with him. And now I see exactly what the fuck my mom was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know
and,
what I mean?
and,
Like, it's extremely important. And I just talked about this on my show the other day. I was talking about the Jay Prince Cam Mace situation, right? Long story short, I equated it all to black men being raised like hood rats. Like, we're taught to be emotional and we're taught to be materialistic.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an example. I said, man, when you was in school, right? The freshest niggas in your school, right? The niggas who had all the polo, Jordans, all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
They was raised by baby mamas.
That's true.
They was raised by baby mamas. A bunch of niggas that's failing, they look good while they failing.
Damn, man, that's fucking.
Boy, they look good, boy. I'm telling you.
But that's a fucking that's a
Want to
reality
be like
that a
them.
lot of black men have to this day. A lot of black men look good, but they failing.
Damn,
Because you learn this shit from your mother.
I gotta smoke this shit. That thing. That's some true shit.
And that's where most of the anger comes from.
yeah.
Hell yeah. It's
So
misguided anger
if you
because
set that up, you have the mom has recreated you in her image.
Yeah,
facts.
that she will never have.
Facts.
And it doesn't make natural sense to that boy. He grows up confused. And the role that society says he should play, he doesn't see himself fitting in that.
Yeah. That's why niggas always talking about, oh, this is racist. That's no. Nigga, you was raised by a bitch. I don't want to call my mom a bitch.
I
You know
just
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah,
You
I
was
get
No,
it.
raised to
we know
be a
what you
bitch.
mean. Yeah, we got
You
you,
was
brother.
raised to be a bitch because a bitch raised you. So when you, like, a lot of people, like, I work for the fire department, right? A lot of people, and I'm 40 years old. I'm just now realizing it. Early in my career, I used to entertain people saying, "Oh, these white boys racist, they racist." No, man, they was raised by men. So when you come on this job and you start acting like a bitch, they're gonna treat you like one. It's not
Yeah.
racism. You acting like a bitch. You acting like
Yeah.
your mom.
Facts.
Yeah.
What you saying? I see that.
In certain situations, how do you guys feel when the woman is in the way of you trying to discipline your son?
I ain't
How
got
do,
that problem.
Me
I
either.
don't know what to tell you.
And no father should. When
Right.
it comes to the son in particular, there should be no line where the father should need to, not no abuse or anything, but when it comes to the boy, it should be no obstacle.
And besides, if your son is close with you and you're close with your son, I mean, your son's going
Then
to
yeah, right.
you to a certain extent. So there's no
Right.
really, you know what I'm saying? So you don't really got to worry. I don't have to worry about that anyway. My son.
Because to add on to what Brother Trippin was saying, and this is just to piggyback. This is just to piggyback off of what he's saying. It's already been scientifically proven that when it comes to single parenting, it doesn't matter the sex of the child, male or female. It's already been scientifically and statistically proven that the children do better with the father,
Facts.
whether they're male or female.
The place I can concur that. I work for the place that can concur that.
Yeah, it's already been proven. It's already been proven. So why doesn't society do it? That's a whole different question and a whole different conversation.
I got the answer for you.
Right, but just stating that, right? Just stating that, when when it coming from a biblical perspective, it kind of preaches against, not preaches, it kind of talks against that. It talks about balance between the man and the woman, which should be established first. But besides all of that, when the children stay with the father, especially the boys, especially the sons, they learn to go get, they learn to make happen, they learn to produce, they learn how to build and create. This is what is supposed to be passed down through the father. When it comes to women raising sons in particular, they only teach them how to receive, not to go get. Everything comes to you instead of you going to get it.
Facts.
So
Facts,
just making that slight comparison between proper biblical understanding and what's going on. The absence of the father in the home, especially in black homes, when it comes to black boys, is the reason why we have a generation of simps nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, you know what I challenge people to do? Go read the lyrics to Dear Mama. Read the lyrics to that song. Nigga, he tried to make it sound as good as but that shit, he had a terrible fucking life with his crazy ass mama.
Yeah. Doing crack and all that. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this woman literally hid him from his father his whole life, and he still praised this woman for what I don't know, because she don't deserve no praise. But that's the root of the simp shit. Like, black men are the biggest simp.
He had that anger problem.
Yep.
Yeah, and he couldn't control it. That's why he got popped.
Yep.
He had that anger problem, and he was raised by who?
You seen his dad? You seen his dad, and his dad is cool, calm, and collective.
Yeah.
The way he talks and carry himself, I'm like, this is this nigga's dad. Like, why wouldn't he just like hang out with this dude? He'd have been a whole different person.
But you know what though? That's his father's fault. Because his father was in that Black Panther shit, and that shit ain't nothing but communism. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah. True.
You want to be a communist, nigga? Okay, now your bitch is in charge because you're a communist. Different conversation though.
Guys, look, we're running out of time. I want to ask you all, when that assassin, let's get back on topic. As far as the assassination, did anyone cry? You shed a tear, not even one drop?
I don't cry. I don't cry. I like
man, when I found out, I thought it was a joke, man.
That's not, so how do people think? So I heard people thought it was a ketchup in a ketchup package, and he just put some on his because they didn't see the blood splatter.
Yeah, that's crazy. Nah, man.
Here's my thing, right? Even if it was a hoax, right? I'm not gonna play a hoax that's gonna make a bullet go anywhere close to my fucking head.
Common sense, man. That's crazy.
Right? Like, come on, man. Like, really?
I mean, why would he need to do a hoax? He's already beating the shit out of Joe Biden on all the polls.
That's what I said. Like, why would he need to do anything like that?
This nigga got these park. We got something. Like, he don't even, like, why stage that?
Yeah,
make no sense. Makes no sense at all.
Yeah, when it comes to these two sides, man, I'm one of the guys that sits on the fence. I vote for the couch first. Everything, unless you beat my couch, you don't get to me.
But
so
that's it. It doesn't really matter who's Democrat or Republican. I just go who has the best.
I mean, but at the same token, you know, I will say this: neither side is going to cause me to go out and vote. But I do still hope for. I do still have hope, and when it comes to picking the lesser of two evils, I got to go with Trump on this. You know, and I've always seen him as the best option, even in the last joint. You know, and there's I'll say this: there's a small group of brothers like myself, like we just prefer the hindsight view on things. And that's no disrespect to anybody on either side. You know what I'm saying? But we just prefer the hindsight. Our survival is not based on the system. Our survival is based on doing our best to prepare to live outside of it, because we've already accepted the fact that it could end. So our focus is elsewhere on learning to live outside of it.
But before we go, what do you mean by lesser two evils? What does that mean?
Well, with all the potential candidates that both sides have, these are the best two that you can produce. Much more respect to Trump, because what this country has needed for a long time is someone with a business acumen. Someone to get this country back on a good financial trajectory, because we're spending a lot, but we're not making it back.
Now, where would you say the less of evil in that is?
It would be Trump this time around, because these are the only two candidates we really have to choose from.
But we also been through both presidencies, so we also have experience with both presidencies, so we can actually say.
Right, and still to this day in 2024, these are the only two candidates we can choose from.
Well,
I understand that, but why would we why would we label them or even one or not the other?
I mean, I don't really see. I don't see any evil in Trump. I don't see any evil in Trump. Any significant evil in Trump.
I'm just using it figuratively. I'm not calling them evil. I'm just using that term figuratively.
Okay.
Like when you gotta make a decision between one or the other, and neither really looks good, then you go for the best hope, the best chance.
But do you think that Trump doesn't? I mean, to be honest, I don't understand how someone could say, like, I think it's a even bigger trick when we try to reduce Trump to what at least he's better than Biden. No, Trump is a good president.
No,
you know what I mean? Like I think that's a little. And I respect your opinion. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, I think we kind of taking away credit from Trump. Like, he had a great run. And
he did. And I'm not right.
And they had to make up a fucking virus to get him out of there.
No, and I'm not discrediting. Right. I'm not discrediting him as an individual when I make that comparison. I'm just saying, for those of us that sit on the hindsight, we see both parties, both sides working towards the same agenda. They're just doing it at separate times. You see what I'm saying? It's one wing or the other wing, but they're both working for the same bird. So, I'm more focused on the head of this bird, the body of this bird. I know we as the blacks are the talons or the tail, because we're the ones that get shitted on, or we're the ones that get used to get stuff, right? But we're not in control of either wing, nor are we in control of the head or the body, right? So what's going on between these two wings, is really none of our concern. But this bird needs to stay afloat and in flight until we as blacks can get our shit together and set ourselves apart, so that when this goes down, we good.
Yeah, but okay, but like.
But choosing between the two wings, Trump's the better wing to keep this bird afloat. No doubt. This has nothing to do with him as a person or as an individual. Yes, we did better as black folks under his presidency. No doubt about that. I'm not going to deny that. All you got to do is look at the numbers, and the numbers approve it. If the other side has improved their fictitious and their fallacy by now, and their falsification of information, then something's wrong with those that really stick to the other side.
Facts.
And when you historically look at this stuff, it was our people that really started the Republican Party in the first place.
Not exactly.
You know, and when you look at certain credences and certain oaths and certain documents that establish this country, it states this country to be a republic, not a democracy. So what the heck is y'all working on? What is y'all trying to do? The best salvation for our people is the Republican Party, you know? But we got to filter out the stuff that is in that party that's keeping us from doing it, from controlling it in the manner in which it was originally established.
I mean,
Yeah, I think long-term damage came from, just quickly here, I think long-term damage came to, if you want to say the black culture or black Americans, it came from long-term. We got 90% for decades of black people voting for the same thing.
Yeah, man.
So you never got a chance for anything to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Since
that
we
goes
lost control
down the
of the
line.
Republican Party, we've been done.
Right. Right.
So we got to get it back. Trump, to me, would be a phenomenal vice president.
Well, he was already president, so no point in that.
I know. He's the primary candidate for the Republican Party. But as a vice president, someone with his business acumen, oh, come on, man. But what the Republican Party really needs is a young face, because Joe Biden can't be the young face.
You mean you said Joe Biden Republican?
No. I said Joe Biden cannot beat a young face. So the Republican Party, Trump would be phenomenal as a vice president.
So for me, it's two things, right? History and I guess knowing what actual government does, actual parts of the government is, right? So history, the one thing is that Democrats were the official bannerman for slavery, right? So that's one thing black people need to know. Republicans were against slavery. They were the anti-slavery and all that stuff. That's number one. Two is, like you said, people need to know that America is not a democracy, right? It's a constitutional republic.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's simple. I mean, if you're fighting for Democrats or democracy, you're fighting for majority rule versus fighting for individual rights. So if people understand those two things, it'll make choosing the next president or elected official or whatever, small, local, or federal wide, a little bit more simple to make that choice. If you know those two things, at least for black people, at least, you know what I mean? So historically, we should be voting for the Republican Party, historically, right? And also, I mean, technically, they have our best, not just our best interests, but the American people's best interests at heart. Period. If you look at historic wise, right? Democrats, even I think it was Lyndon Johnson who said we'll get the black people voting for Democrats for the next 200 years. Technically, he's right.
Hoover.
One of them. It was one of them.
No, it was LBJ. Hoover was the FBI.
Right.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right, bro. You're right.
So I mean, technically, we're what, 90 years in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So we need to change that shit. That's what I'm saying. I think a revolution is about to happen now. You know what I mean? Not a revolution that we think, but something close to it. At least working towards it.
I would even say you brought up Hoover. I think Hoover gets a bad rap in American history.
Yeah,
I think Hoover gets a horrible rap. You know, Hoover tried to save Martin Luther King's life several times, and you know what he kept telling him? Stop hanging around with communists.
Yep.
The person who wrote the I Have a Dream speech was a communist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not calling you. I ain't going to say
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about, bro. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm not going to say the ethnicity.
You're talking about though. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I got you. Go ahead though.
But okay. Here's my thing, right? I had to come to the unfortunate realization, right, that identifying with black culture in its current state is a mistake.
I agree.
Because at this point, we represent everything that's wrong with America and ultimately what's going to be wrong with the world. We are pawns in a game that is being played between Marxists and capitalists.
Point made.
We are pawns in this game. Like, to this date, what we think is white supremacy is just us being pawns.
Yep.
Us being tricked into thinking that one group of people wants us wiped off the face of the earth, when it's really the ones who are controlling us who some of them want wiped off the face of the earth, if you catch what I'm saying.
Right, I can dig it. I can dig
So
it.
it went from them being the target to us being the target.
Mm-hmm.
And listen,
That was
they were brilliant. They were
sick.
brilliant in their approach to it, because
Yeah.
they took over certain industries that
Mm-hmm.
afforded them this luxury to have pawns. But we're the pawns.
Yep. They control the masses.
So if I was to put this in the perspective of my bird, right? My bird with the two wings, right? You know, we black folks, we're either the tail or the talons.
I wouldn't even say that.
That would
I
be
think that's where we
debatable.
put ourselves. We put
Yeah.
I think
ourselves
that's how.
there.
I think that's the setup.
Purpose, though.
Exactly. That's why I think those two are debatable when it comes to what part do we play on this bird.
But the people that Trips talk about is the fucking head. They are the fucking head.
And that's no. I know. That's what I was getting to, because the body he alluded to, but I think him and I can agree that there's a head element that is controlling this whole thing. And I think that's the head. I think that's the group that he's talking about, because the body, as far as I'm concerned, are the ones that practice this white supremacy.
I mean, if you believe, I honestly, like, I don't. This might sound
They
crazy.
They're not the
interact with a
originators
bunch
of
white
it.
people.
Right.
Bro,
They're not
the
the
biggest white
originators of
supremacy
it. They just benefit and practice off of it because it benefits them as a
They're
group.
using it as a tool.
Do you know? Okay, so do you know white supremacy, right? The whole concept of white supremacy wasn't started because of black people. White supremacy came about in the 30s and 40s when certain European countries were being ran by people who some Europeans don't consider white. I'm trying to be diplomatic here.
Like the
I
Italians.
got you.
So, but that shit was put onto us, right? Because we are used as pawns. I guarantee you, dog, most white people in this country don't have
I
no
agree
problem
with you that we are pawns. Yes, I agree with you. We are pawns. We're definitely not the bishops. We're definitely not the knights. We're definitely not the king or queen.
Let's look at some numbers, right?
We're definitely the pawns on that board.
Since 2008, right? Excuse me, no. Since 2013, 110,000 black people were killed by black people. Okay, that's more. That's all. Okay, since 1940 something, right? There's been 160,000 Palestinians and Jews killed in that conflict, which goes to show you there are more black people killing black people than the longest beef known to man to this point, which is between the Palestinians and the Israelites. We have killed each other in damn near the same as them in 11 years. Every year, there's about 20,000 murders in America, and we commit 11,000 of those on each other.
That's a lot.
Damn near 60%. But you want to tell me that the police are to blame for this? No, the police don't know what to do because niggas are out of control because we're used as pawns.
Right, and I'm not. I agree with you on a lot of that, brother Trippin.
That was facts.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't disagree with facts. It's hard to disagree when something is factual, because it's gone from information to a level of data.
Yeah, but my bad, y'all. But I'm telling you, it's the white supremacy that's holding us back. It's the white supremacy that's holding us back.
JP's trolling. He's trolling.
right?
He's trolling big time.
Yeah, yeah.
I do think though, right? And because this can also be proven, right? I do think that there is something systematically against us
Yeah,
for us
Nick.
to be who we actually were meant to be as our forefathers were once respected and treated on this place we call Earth. We do live in a dissolved reality from our forefathers. And the further back we go, there's no doubt that any of us with melanin can say that yes,
Who are our
the other guys learned it from us.
Who are our forefathers?
Pardon?
Who are our forefathers?
Answer that one.
Melanated people. They're the original
I'm
people.
just there's melanated people. White people are melanated. Who's our forefathers?
Got a point there, buddy.
Who as black people here?
Yes, who are they?
There's a very good chance historically.
You mean in
that
context to what you're saying? Who are our forefathers in context to what you're saying? Not the history of it, but in context of what you're saying. When you say our forefathers, what do you mean by that?
Who are they? Where they come from?
Those of us that descend from slavery, the descendants of ADOS. You know, our forefathers can be traced back to slavery and the slave trade.
So would you say our forefathers came from Africa?
Looking at considering the Earth at that time, yes, it's very, very, very likely. And it's also very likely that they could have came from South America. But we know that they are South America because that far back in history, the two continents were a lot closer than they are today.
So let's just go back 1,000 years. Where would you say our forefathers are from?
The majority of us were transported over according to the written history. Now there's other documents out there that also state that we were already here.
Somehow you let me dig your own hole for some reason, I think. But
now I just want to say this because I ain't trying. Listen, I know my brothers from Nigeria. I gotta state some facts though. Like, bro, it wasn't white supremacy that got us in chains. It was the greed.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
It was the greed of African nations that got us to this point. We sold each other off like hotcakes.
Yeah,
and
slavery was learned.
We got Europe rich, and then they came and took that shit over after we got them rich.
Yeah, slavery was learned. Yes, we were. Our own kind were our original.
No, it wasn't learned. Yes. It wasn't learned. It was a profitable business.
Mm-hmm. Which turned into a religion.
They didn't. They. You can't just come up in Africa and just take niggas. No, Africans wasn't having that shit.
Hey,
they gave the niggas away.
Speaking to his story, to his point, like in my village in Africa, right? They had stories about white people trying to sail up the river close to my house, trying to kidnap people, right? But they killed them all the minute they came up the river. So they did do that shit, but it was greed, our own greed that was our downfall.
Sure.
It is what it is.
I mean, all you gotta do is look up the Dahomey tribe, the same tribe that they talked about in the Woman King.
Yeah,
bro, they were responsible for like 70% of the slaves sold over here. They went to village to village. They raped
the Ashanti tribe.
Bro, I'm just saying, like this.
If you were weaker, they take you over.
The original slave trade was done by melanated people. It was originated by melanated people.
No, it wasn't.
You know,
no, it wasn't. But
no, it was done by them. It was mainly done by them. It was part of the trade system. You would take over an area, and then you would what would they call that? They would pillage the village and take captives, and then sell them off to other provinces.
I'm not saying this to disparage. Like they had to do what they had to do. They got the money. I don't even care. What I'm saying is, as black folks, we have to look in the mirror at this point and realize that it's not white people
We fucked
for the most
ourselves.
part.
But
It's
yeah, we
us.
fucked ourselves.
And the thing that because I'm telling you, accountability is kryptonite to the whole diaspora.
So
Because we
Egypt
want to
fell
blame
because
that
of
shit
what
on
you said.
everybody else but ourselves.
Okay, but allow me to propose this, and I'll be done. Now, allow me to just propose this one question.
That's a great conversation, bro. I'm loving it.
Hold on, before you pose that question. Hold on, before you pose the question. Don't forget the question. But I just want to say, to his point, though, that's how Egypt, Kemet became Egypt, and how Egypt fell was because of what he just said. We welcomed them in. They took over, and they basically slaughtered us all and divided us all. And yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
It's the same thing with the
can
Moors. The Moors got on jealous of each other.
Yeah, the Moors played a big role in a lot of this, and they're not mentioned.
Europe.
Yeah, definitely.
They got all
But
jealous of each other because he had this white bitch, and they had that white bitch, and they was fighting over white bitches and shit.
Yeah, like we do
the same
today.
story every time, bro.
Every time.
You look at all these NBA draft rookies. What's the first one they give them? It's whatever. But I ain't getting into all of that.
I don't blame them for that. I don't blame them for that.
They throw the Kim Kardashians at them and whatnot. So that's a whole other conversation. But
I can't blame the niggas for doing what they got to do.
But when individuals like me that vote for the couch first, right? When we actually when we sit back and we look at it from hindsight and be like, yo, I see y'all giving money over here. I see y'all giving money over there. I see people coming over here and y'all hooking them up and giving them money. I'm seeing everybody getting money except my folk that actually do some money.
Why should we give you money?
You even set the joints. They even set the joint up so that when the illegals come over, they getting set up, right? We got connections with countries that we've been giving money to billions a year. I ain't calling out no names, but just follow the numbers, and we just throwing them money. All these other people are getting money, except us. Now we had to come and find out ways to make our own money, and when we make a little change, we won't flash it in their face and be like, we found a way to get over. But that getting over shit is gonna run out. It's gonna run out.
You can't make you can't make the argument though. And I'm not talking about you, but we can't make the argument that nobody's doing for us when we have shows like MTV Cribs, when we have the people who we prop up in our culture are doing the most bragging, boasting. Like it's honestly, everybody that tells you to vote for Biden is to blame for all of this, because the same people that tell you that you're a victim and you need to vote for Biden are the same people that boast and brag about everything they have.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we end up getting the short end of the stick from the shit we do. This is why, honestly, in a perfect world, I would love to not be like this, but I have to come to reality, man. I have to disassociate myself from this culture because there's nothing good coming from it. And it's nothing good.
Let's speak to that point, right? There's nothing good from it, right? We have all. So here's the thing why I say we vote for Donald Trump, right? Because he gave us opportunity zones, and we have all these entertainers, right, making all this money, and we have opportunity zones in the hood. Like I saw one. I don't know if you know about Benton Road, but there was one in Benton Road right next to Denny's, right? An opportunity zone. I'm like, for $10,000 or some shit like that. I'm like, if we have all these entertainers that come from, especially from DC, why don't you invest in your own community? You know what I mean? They have that opportunity, but they don't take it. That's why I understand when he says we got to divest ourselves from this black culture that's happening, because it's not helping us at all. It's basically fighting against our own interests if you think about it. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, but it is what it is.
We celebrate the inmate getting out of jail. The college graduation.
Yeah.
We ask back. We backwards, man. We let
just
dictate the, huh?
Just to throw a little icing on the cake. Like we're not gonna to be able to put ourselves in a position to be nationalized, because being nationalized requires a level of responsibility on other governments that in other words, black folks, quote unquote, black people or African Americans, however you want to classify yourself, primarily if you're a descendant of American slavery, if you come from that pool and you can connect yourself to that pool, the reason why, this is one of the main reasons why they've been able to do this to our folks, because they were able to get away with it because we were nationalized at one point and we were robbed of our nationality. Right. This is why after Tulsa, after Black Wall Street, and after all of that, when we came out of the worst that this country has thrown at us, we were able to develop our own communities where the American dollar rotated more times in our communities than any other community historically written in this country. But that's because by that time, our government still knew our nationality and who we were as a people. And that was being stripped away from us. The civil rights movement completely removed that. We were no longer nationalized, and we no longer had an identity as a people. And from that point forward, they begin separating us from within the home. Now, all of this can be proven. Now, I know I may have ruffled some feathers with this, but this is a point of white supremacy and systematic white supremacy that constantly gets overlooked. The reason why other countries or other people from other countries can come over here and get these handouts, because when they trace them back, whatever nation they came from has a historical connection. That group of people from wherever they came from have a historical connection, a nationality, a historical nationality. When it comes to us, ours has been completely stripped. This is why all of the inventions that we came up with, literally none of them get royalties from that joint because they stole all that shit. Excuse my language. Pardon my language.
But that's because we're uneducated when it comes to those things.
Coming out of slavery, uneducation is a byproduct of that. But go ahead, I'm done.
So look, okay, I hear what you're saying, right? But here's the thing. I never heard of an African Jamaican. I never heard of a fucking African Mexican.
Yeah.
I never heard of a fucking African Belizean. I never heard of an African Canadian. We have been tricked into thinking that we're not American citizens. And that's our problem. You want to separate yourself from the country that you damn near built.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Your nationality is America.
But is America a nationality?
Yes.
Not really.
That's the problem. I think that's the problem you're having. You got to think
it's a country. A nation is a group of people that have moved down historically. If you can trace a country's inception date or the date it begins, that's not a nation.
You're missing the point.
It's just a country.
You're missing the point.
Hold on.
Nationality is groups of people. Not countries or borders.
Black is not a nationality.
Right.
It's a political identity.
No, it's foolishness.
But you're missing the point. We're all American. we're all. Here's the thing. We're all American. Regardless of where you come from, we're all Americans. You need to think like we're American. Period. Forget about where. I understand we have our little nuances, whatever, within America, right? But at the same time, we should all be thinking as Americans. Point is like it's simple.
When you look at your birth certificate, it doesn't say American. It says you're a United States citizen.
We should all be thinking as United States citizens. Point blank and simple. It's not really that hard. It's not rocket science here.
Well, there is a difference, because there is a difference between being an American and being a United States citizen. Being an American technically means you can trace your lineage from being from this land before this country's inception.
I'm not playing with semantics. I'm just telling you
what the law is
on this soil. So I can say that I'm an American because my father, my grandparents, my whole family is buried at a cemetery in Leesburg, Virginia that predates the Revolutionary War. I'm an American.
Okay.
Even so,
and no one can take that from you.
yeah, right. But
Right.
even
If
so,
you can trace
being
your
born
if
on
you can
American
trace your
soil,
lineage before this country began,
it doesn't matter.
you're an American.
It doesn't matter. If you're
Well,
born in American
So all
soil,
the
you
immigrants
are an
that came over
American.
here would give us your poor, give us your sick from the from the fucking Statue of Liberty, right? I don't hear nobody says I'm an Italian American. Nobody says I'm a fucking Polish American. Nobody
Right.
says that shit.
At
They're
the-
right,
Americans.
but
at the-
when you look at the name of this country, it's called the United States of America.
All right, but you're not going to call yourself a United States of an American. You're just going to say, let's just be realistic in what we're talking about. You know what I mean? We're all American. If you're born on this soil, regardless of where you've come from or what timeline you're on.
Okay.
But
If you're born on American soil, hold on.
But saying this, does this mean that I can't do certain things as an American, as a United States citizen versus an American? Are you saying
Right.
that I can't do certain things within this country that they can? Since we're separating citizen and American?
Right.
Right, because quote unquote Americans can derive from several nationalities that existed on this continent before they got here.
But they're on reservations.
Those no,
I mean,
no,
they lost,
no.
bro. They
Those
lost.
are the
They got
ones
their shit
that
took.
call
They lost.
themselves such.
I think you're conflating two ideas.
I'm not, because these are legalese terms.
You're thinking about immigration, born here versus actually. I mean, the whole thing is getting conflated.
Okay.
But the main thing is that if you're born on American soil, you're supposed to be an American citizen. That's the law. Period. Right? Let's not go into the backgrounds and all that. If you're born on America's fucking soil, you're an American citizen. The only problem with that is that if you're an illegal immigrant and you have a child on American soil, that child is not an American citizen. That's
okay. So then,
but here's the thing:
on your birth certificate or your passport, why doesn't it state that?
We're going into semantics. It is not the point. If
Okay.
you're born in American soil, you're an American fucking citizen. Point blank. Whether you call yourself American or United States citizen, you are you have a social security number dedicated to you.
Also, let's keep in mind, America is literally like divided into two continents.
Right.
Like,
we're talking about the America.
It says U.S. citizen because you have to specify United States, because a Canadian is also an American. A Mexican is also an American.
Right.
So U.S. citizen because you're in the United States of America. That's why they call it that.
So we are U.S. citizens. In a discussion. That's it. That's all. If you're born here, you're a U.S. citizen. Right? The only problem I have with that is, like I said before, is that if you're an illegal immigrant and if you cross the border illegally and you have a child here, that child now becomes a U.S. citizen. That's where I have the part with the anchor babies. And that's where I like Trump when he says he's going to send those people back home. Because technically, it's like if you rob a bank, you don't get to keep the money that you robbed the bank for. You know what I mean? You got to get the money back, right? So technically, if you're born here from an illegal immigrant, you got to go the fuck back. That it was done illegally. That's the law. So I'm really not understanding how we have a fucking problem with immigration and why people are seeking asylum. I mean, if you cross the border illegally, you'd be sent back, regardless of asylum or not.
It's a crime at the end of the day.
Exactly. What is the discrepancy here? What are we having? What are we arguing here?
I don't even think we argue. I think we only argue about semantics. I think I truly believe that Eddie's on point with the rest of us. To be honest with you. I think we're just arguing semantics at this point.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm just trying to
want the best.
Yeah, because he sounds just like everybody else. So I'm like, I got confused at a minute. I was like, wait a minute.
I get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not here sitting blindly. No, I get it. This is why I choose to sit on the fence, even when it comes to politics. I sit on the fence when it comes to religion. I sit on the fence when it comes to science. I sit on the fence on a lot of things because I found balance in my own logic and ability to reason my present, my potential future, and the history.
I like that, man, because, so I used to speak out against religion a whole lot, right? Mm-hmm. Like when I was in my 20s, early 30s, I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But you know what I realized at 40 years old? Mm-hmm. even though I may not be convinced that everything is 100% true,
Mm.
I will say this: if I was in control of a country, I would definitely make everybody religious because it keeps order. It has a valid place in society because I'm looking at America now and we're so far beyond the pale, like it's crazy. It to the point where I think something like Project 2025 is actually good.
It is though. I mean, it is what it
You know
is.
what I mean? It's religious as hell, but like we need it because we're fucked up.
Hey, man, if you look at it to your point, look at how the United States, basically our laws are based off the Bible.
Right.
That party has been stripping everything away from the United States that's based off the Bible, even taking religion out of schools. So, to your point, that's facts.
That's right. Yeah. That's facts.
Experienced that the moment they took prayer out of the school, the guns
Yeah,
came in. I can
yeah,
attest to that.
yeah.
I can attest to that. I graduated from junior high school. By the time I went from 8th to 9th grade. Well, no, hold on. I went, from 6th to 7th grade. By the time I got to 7th grade, we had metal detectors in school.
Yeah.
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 Stop saying
So
allegiance and all that shit and all that.
Yeah, they're taking everything that has to do with God out. So,
right, everything I think has at this point in time, everything has the right to be criticized, and everything should be able to be thought against critically. Things need to be challenged because we as a whole have been removed from a lot of truth that if we don't take it upon ourselves to get to this information and let it be known, then we're doing ourselves as a whole a disservice. But we also
Severely.
have to realize that there are keepers of this information that don't want it to come out.
Hey, we got the internet now, so if you
and
you're an idiot,
right? And when I usually refer to our ancestors, I speak to the point to where it's our ancestors. Look, I'll just spell it. I'll just say it clear out. Before the white man got a hold of that information, right? Whatever we want to consider the white man to be, I don't care. Those that came out the Caucasus Mountains before they got it. When I speak of ancestral times, is when our people had the joint before they got it, before they even knew about it.
Welcome to Kemet, nigga.
You know what I'm saying? Before they even knew that all of this was going on, they were still up in there trying to, build a campfire in the cave. We was already pyramids ahead, that type of stuff. Ziggurats and pyramids ahead. That's when I talk about ancestral times, I'm talking about when our people had this information and it was common information.
I'll say this respectfully.
What people you talking about, and what pyramids you talking about that you connecting yourself to?
I'm not connecting myself to pyramids. I'm just connecting myself to ancient history. That when I say ancient history, I'm talking about an ancient ancestral history. I'm talking about the time before the Caucasians got their hand on the information. That when what was going on in the world, whether it was good or bad, all the information was contained amongst primarily dark-skinned people.
I hear what you're saying, because I know for a fact that me, JP, and Mr. Kufu, we all been down that road in life. Like it was a point in time where we all used to get on these podcasts and talk about that shit. But I'm telling you right now, that shit
it's back there.
It's irrelevant because it doesn't benefit us today. It don't. Unfortunately, it doesn't.
It don't. And
I
most
got
of
this shit on
them
my arm. Hold on, can you see my? I'm trying to show the tattoo. I had tattooed that shit. Well, fuck.
Look, and
I got
most
some Egyptian shit on my arm.
Most of that,
right.
But what I'm saying is,
not true. Most of us are not North Africans anyway. We ain't got
hell
shit.
no, and North Africans ain't
We ain't got
nothing
nothing to do with Egypt.
I can, I could probably attest
I'm
to
speaking
some
that
of
one
that
step.
too.
I'm speaking
Yeah,
that
there
one.
was a lot of migration going in the area we know as Africa, and what we know as Africa today wasn't laid out or bordered out the way it was now. You
It was
know,
definitely hard to travel then through the desert. You know,
no,
it wasn't no walk through the park. You know what I'm saying?
no, not at all, not at all. But I also believe, a lot of information of that time still exists in what we call today Egypt, where the pyramids are and all of that. I don't disagree with any of that information, nor do I contradict it. However, I do say I would love to be able to visit someday that the continent is much bigger than that.
I'm just saying
I think it's just the beginning.
The continent has no nuclear weapons. They're irrelevant.
No, right. That means a lot of the history of mankind prior to the Caucasian getting their hands on the information, a lot of that information is still there. They're preserving it because they know where it is and know what it is.
But thank God
This
for
is
the
why
white
they don't put
man for
nukes and
preserving
stuff
it.
over there
But thank God for
because
the
they
white
don't want to
man
destroy
for
it.
What do
So
they
two
need to
things, right?
preserve?
Hold
Like,
on.
bro, you can, if they wanted to, they could
They
blow that shit
could.
off the map.
Two
I
things.
know they could, but trust me, there's a level of significance that piece of land has, just as much as South America. What we know is South America. A lot of that still has. They tell you it's unexplored because that's what they want you to. They want us to believe. But there's a
There's
reason why
resources, man.
certain parts of this earth is left and quote unquote unexplored. Nah, that stuff's been unexplored, and they know what's there. They
For
know
sure.
what's there.
So three things, right? Number one, you do need to know your history. That's number one.
Sure.
You definitely need to know your history before you come here. So, for instance, right? Well, I can trace my lineage from quote unquote Nigeria, right, back to ancient Egypt. I
I can't.
Well, you need
Go
to,
ahead.
but you need to, right? So for me, in my mind, it's like, well, if I know we did this, why the fuck are we in this position right now? And if we're in this position right now, how can I change that position back to where the fuck we were beforehand? That's my mentality, right? So I can't do that on a grand scale, but I can do that in my own small little way, right? So that's number one. You do need to know your history. Two, you were talking about what was the other thing you were talking about? The I forgot the other shit you was rambling on about before I stopped you.
Shit, I think the future is more important than the past.
Yeah, but you need to know your past so you know what direction you're going in the future. I mean, just like having a map.
Right.
If you don't have a map, where the fuck are you going? You don't know where you came from. You don't know where you're at to where you're going. Right? So you need to know your past, regardless of who you are.
I agree.
That builds culture. That builds community. Think about all the Spanish people in fucking Langley Park and all that shit. They all have a common past and a common language and a common culture. Everything's common to them. We're the only race that doesn't have that anymore.
You know what's crazy? They actually don't. Langley Park is a mixture of all type of Hispanics that, like,
right.
I think
But think about it. All those who came here had a common past that they all had a struggle to get here. That is a common past they all have, regardless of where they came from. They all struggled to get here, and they all take that to heart when they all made their own little community when they got here. We don't have that. Well, we had that, but it was destroyed, and we lost that, and we cannot get it back.
We decided to be pawns. We decided to be pawns to the
unfortunately,
for lack of better terms.
Yeah, we are pawns, but we let that shit happen. Like we've always let that. So even before chattel slavery, there was the Arab
slave trade,
right?
The Arab slave trade. Yep.
We did it to ourselves.
Niggas' dicks off and all that type of shit.
Right. We did it to ourselves. You know what I mean? We keep doing it to ourselves. We gotta learn to stop that fucking cycle somewhere, somehow. I mean, because we're at the point where I don't know. I think our race.
So could we say, fellas, if we all think we connected to them Africans, could we say that that's that we suffering from the African mentality over here in America?
I would say so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean
we gotta admit it. I mean,
well, think about it. We're the first race on the planet, right? So we're kind of very welcoming people anyway, and we're nomads. We don't like to stay in one place for very long anyway. You know what I mean? So I mean, we have the welcoming. Even when somebody does something fuck up to us, think about it. We always welcome them back like nothing happened. Some mental, I don't know, fuck up that we have. You know what I mean? Like it's like we'll welcome you, you'll fuck us over, but then we'll shake your hand afterwards, like nothing happened. Like I don't know where the fuck we got that from, but it's sickening as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, do you think they were fucked over, or do you think they just are bad business people? Like, I feel like they just took short. I mean, they just took bad deals.
I think honestly, when the timeline switched, here's my theory about what you just said is when the timeline switched is when the Europeans took over Kemet, right? Before in Kemet, I know people like to romanticize like we were all the gods and all that bullshit, right? That's fine, right? But in actuality, we were bloody fucking murderers. We went to your civilization, we took that shit over. We fought back, we killed everybody. And if the people we left behind, we enslaved you as you know, you're prisoners of war. That's what we did. I know people like to romanticize like we were gods and kings. We had robes and all that shit, but we were fucking murderers. We had spies and all that shit, right? So I mean, we I don't know. We fucked up at that time. Like we let them take over, and now we think like them. In other words, we have diplomacy. We have all
You
this.
said we think like them, but are they thinking like us?
No, they killed our spirit. They took over our shit. They all the knowledge we had in Serapeum Temple, they burnt all that shit and took it for themselves. And now they have all of our knowledge. They have all of our knowledge, and we don't even.
I don't disagree, man. Yeah, they took all of that, bro.
All of it.
And what they did, what they couldn't take, they destroyed.
Right? No, they didn't destroy it. They didn't destroy what it didn't matter.